What's happening right now in Washington is more than just another budget standoff. It's a breaking and game-changing moment where Donald Trump and Republican leadership are steering America straight into a government shutdown while trying to frame the chaos as someone else's fault. This fight over the federal budget is not just about numbers on a spreadsheet. It's about power, healthcare, the Constitution itself, and whether one president can override Congress to control the nation's purse. At the center of this unprecedented showdown is the question of responsibility. Republicans hold the White House, the Senate, and the House. That means they control every lever of power. Yet instead of negotiating months in advance, they refuse to meet with Democrats until the last possible moment. Now, with hours left before the government runs out of funding, Trump and Senate Majority Leader John Thune are trying to shift the blame, calling it a partisan standoff. But the facts are clear. This is a Republican shutdown. The stakes are staggering. A shutdown means real Americans lose access to health care programs, veterans face delays in critical services, and federal workers go unpaid or get furloughed. Families lose access to nutrition assistance. Even basic government operations, from airport security to Social Security processing, grind to a halt. Meanwhile, billionaires keep their tax breaks. Families lose while billionaires win. That is the trade-off at the heart of this budget fight. Back in 2013, Trump himself said that any government shutdown represents a failure of the president to bring people together. Fast forward to today, and suddenly that logic no longer applies to him. Instead, he boasts about tariffs, claiming they raised trillions of dollars. The truth is far less impressive. Those tariffs generated about $150 billion more than before, and they function as a hidden sales tax on American families. They drive up the cost of groceries, electricity, and everyday goods. Tariffs hit working families hardest, while Trump spins the numbers as a victory. In reality, it's a regressive tax dressed up as economic policy. Healthcare is the other central fault line. Republicans have pushed a strategy that slashes Affordable Care Act subsidies and guts Medicaid. That move would throw millions of Americans off coverage, close hospitals in vulnerable communities, and raise costs for families already struggling with inflation. Senator Jeff Merkley of Oregon made it clear this strategy leaves families sicker and poorer while handing more breaks to billionaires. Congressman Jim Himes of Connecticut added that Republicans are flooding the zone with rage and grievance politics, racist AI videos, culture war distractions, to keep people from noticing that their health care is vanishing. Majority Leader Thune has argued that Republicans are willing to negotiate health care tax credits, but just not now. He says Democrats should release the hostage, meaning the continuing resolution, and then talks can happen. But Democrats counter that this isn't a negotiation tactic, it's a crash in slow motion. If you wait until the last possible moment, then refuse to talk, the shutdown becomes inevitable. The Republicans set this timeline, they created this crisis, and now they want Democrats to sign on to a stopgap deal with no guarantees. The deeper concern is not just over policy, but over precedent. Trump's administration has been testing ways to freeze, slow walk, or impound funds that Congress has already passed into law. That amounts to an executive line-item veto, which the Supreme Court has already ruled unconstitutional. If the president can decide which funds get released and which do not, the power of the purse shifts from Congress to the White House. That is more than a shutdown tactic. It is an authoritarian takeover of budget authority. And the cruelty is deliberate. Medicaid cuts would devastate nursing homes, veterans programs, and children's health care. In Oregon alone, nearly a third of the population relies on Medicaid or the state's health plan. 60% of children are covered. Eliminating subsidies and freezing funds is not about fiscal discipline. It's about redistributing resources upward, from struggling families to billionaire donors. The timeline is brutally short. With the fiscal year ending, every hour matters. The next 48 hours will decide whether the United States experiences another shutdown. If Trump and Republicans refuse to budge, then hundreds of thousands of federal workers will face missed paychecks. Families will face higher healthcare bills. Veterans will face delays. And America will see once again that partisan brinkmanship is not a governing strategy, it's sabotage. Internationally, the risks are also significant. A government shutdown undermines confidence in U.S. stability, rattles financial markets, and signals to allies and adversaries alike that domestic political dysfunction can paralyze the world's largest economy. Tariff policies, already acting as a hidden tax on consumers, will only compound the perception that America is more interested in chest-thumping than coherent economic leadership. So the question becomes, what happens next? Democrats appear united in voting no on the Republican resolution, though Senator John Fetterman of Pennsylvania has suggested keeping the government open is the core duty of Congress. But with Republicans holding the majority, the outcome rests on whether Trump and Thune decide to negotiate or dig in. If they dig in, America heads into a shutdown with far-reaching consequences. If they negotiate, it will only be because the pressure from families, workers, and markets becomes too great to ignore. All eyes are now on Washington. The next 2 days could reshape the balance of power between Congress and the presidency, determine the future of health care for millions, and test whether constitutional checks still mean anything. This is not just another budget fight. It is a breaking, game-changing moment for the country. Stay tuned. We will keep tracking every development in this unprecedented showdown. Make sure you like, subscribe, and drop a comment below about how you think this shutdown will impact everyday Americans. And don't forget to hit the notification bell so you don't miss the updates.